It was a foggy evening in May 2010 when I received the call that would lead me into one of the most perplexing cases of my career. A body had been discovered on Gilgo Beach, Long Island, and it was just the beginning of a mystery that would stretch on for years. As I approached the crime scene, the salty breeze mixed with the tension in the air. The beach was deserted, save for a few officers cordoning off the area. The lifeless body of a young woman lay partially hidden among the dunes, her identity unknown. As I knelt beside her, I noted the signs of a struggle, bruises, signs of restraint. This was no accident. It was murder. My investigation began in earnest. We quickly learned that the victim was Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old escort who had gone missing the previous year. Her family had been searching for her, and now they would be facing the unbearable truth. But as I looked around, I sensed this was just the tip of the iceberg. As we continued our search along the shoreline, more bodies began to surface, each a young woman, each with a similar story. They were all linked to the world of sex work, and it was clear we were dealing with a serial killer. The more I dug, the darker the story became. I spent long nights sifting through police reports, conducting interviews, and reaching out to families, trying to piece together the lives of these women. Every lead felt like a double-edged sword, revealing more about the victims, but also the chilling reality of their final moments. I followed leads into the shadows of the internet, finding connections between the women and potential suspects. As I dug deeper, I discovered they had all advertised their services online, exposing them to the dangers of their profession. One evening, I met with Shannon's mother, who recounted her daughter's struggles and the night she went missing. Her eyes were filled with a mix of hope and despair. She was a good girl, she insisted, as if repeating it could somehow bring her back. That conversation weighed heavily on me, fueling my determination to find answers. Then, a breakthrough came. I learned about a former police chief who had been involved in the case, James Burke, whose suspicious activities raised red flags. As I connected the dots, I discovered that Burke had a personal connection to some of the victims. It was a twist that sent chills down my spine. I started to feel the pressure from both the community and my superiors. The media was relentless, broadcasting every detail, while the families of the victims demanded justice. As the investigation unfolded, I realized that the killer was likely someone who blended into the community, someone who could evade suspicion. The case took an unexpected turn when I stumbled upon a lead that pointed to a local man named John Bitroff, a known criminal with a history of violence against women. When we finally arrested him, it felt like a small victory, but as I interrogated him, I could sense he wasn't our killer. He claimed innocence, and despite the mounting evidence against him, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still missing something. As the months dragged on, we finally connected the dots to a larger web of deceit. In 2011, the bodies of several more women were discovered, and it became apparent we were dealing with a serial killer who had eluded us for far too long. The realization was horrifying. How many more victims were out there, lost to the shadows? Despite the frustration, I pressed on. I coordinated with federal agencies and assembled a task force. We examined cold cases, combing through years of unsolved murders, hoping to find connections. The investigation eventually led to a breakthrough in 2020 when advances in forensic technology allowed us to identify a previously collected DNA sample. It matched a profile linked to Rex Hoyerman, a suspect in several unsolved murders. He was a successful architect living a seemingly normal life, but behind closed doors, he was harboring dark secrets. With the evidence mounting, we arrested Hoyerman. In a shocking twist, he confessed to multiple murders, including those of Shannon Gilbert and several other women. My heart raced as I heard his confession. Finally, the truth was surfacing, but it came at a great cost. In the end, the names Shannon Gilbert, Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, and Amber Costello became synonymous with a harrowing story of tragedy and loss. Their lives, cut short by a predator hidden in plain sight, reminded us all of the fragility of existence and the darkness that can lurk in our communities.